Hi, welcome to Polyphonic Press. I'm Jeremy Boyd, and today I'm going to be reviewing U2's new album entitled Songs of Innocence. Here we go. Songs of Innocence is U2's 13th studio album, and it was recorded over a period of 5 years in several different studios, and it was released to coincide with an iTunes update. Everyone who updated their iTunes this past September got a free U2 album, and if you're a fan of U2, this was an exciting piece of news, but if you weren't a fan of U2, this is really not something that was going to make you like the band even anymore. The album was eventually released on CD, and although there was a lot of hype around it, it really didn't perform well in the charts or in terms of sales. And this album starts off with this song, The Miracle of Joey Ramone, and it's an okay song. It starts off a little rough, but eventually it settles into the groove. It's just kind of there. It's not really good or bad, but it's definitely not up to the same caliber of songwriting that U2 is sort of used to in terms of lyrics or musically. This song to me sounds like an outtake from a Coldplay album. It's not the worst song I've ever heard, but it's not the best either. It's just kind of there. It's not really good or bad. And really, I don't think it really works very well as a opening track to the album. When you have an album like this, you want to open it up where it's going to capture the audience's attention and really want to grab their interest in hearing the rest of the album. And this song honestly didn't really do that for me. The song California, There Is No End to Love starts off with this hypnotic chant that kind of takes you in, and it eventually settles into this mid-tempo rock song. I actually really like this song. I like the way the electric guitars and the strings kind of work off of each other and really just kind of blend in naturally. I can kind of see a band like The Killers or something covering this song. It has those chord changes that are reminiscent of like a power pop song from 2004, and I don't think it's a rip-off of that. I think that U2 has just written a song that kind of sounds like that, and it's something that kind of naturally happened, and it's just kind of a coincidence. I don't think that there's any rip-off or anything like that going on. But it definitely feels that way, and it has that sort of synthesizer sound going throughout the whole thing, and it just has that uplifting sort of spirit behind it. The song Volcano is sort of interesting. It starts off with this pseudo-punk rock bass and eventually settles into pretty much a full-on pop song. The thing I noticed about this song is it started off with the potential to be a really great song, but it just kind of fell flat of that. I can't really quite put my finger on it, but it feels like there's like a disconnect between the band and this song. The performance is okay, the vocals are, okay, they're passable, but it just kind of feels like they're just going through the motions and they're not really connected to the song in a way that they would have been on like Achtung Baby or something like that. Unfortunately, I get that feeling on a lot of the songs on this album. It's kind of like going on a roller coaster. The first couple times you go on it, it feels very exciting, it's new, it's fresh, but the more you go on it, the more old it feels. It just kind of feels like that they're at that point in their career. The song Sleep Like a Baby Tonight starts off with these very 1980s synthesizer bass line. It really kind of sounds like the soundtrack from Miami Vice or Beverly Hills Cop or something like that. This song is kind of slower. It's kind of meant to be like a lullaby or something like that, but after the first chorus you hear this explosion of fuzz guitar that just kind of comes out of nowhere. It completely takes you by surprise, and it doesn't really fit the song at all. The song would have been fine without that element added into it. It just kind of, takes you out of the song, and it doesn't make any sense musically. And I can understand wanting to experiment with different sounds, but I think that it still has to make sense, and it just kind of feels like it was an add-on, maybe an afterthought, and it sort of didn't really work. I think this is probably my least favorite song on the album. Again, it had the potential to be a really great song, but it just fell flat of that. The album ends with the song Troubles, which is another slower ballad, and it kind of sounds like Moby from the late 90s. It's not really a terrible song, but like a lot of these songs, it's just kind of underwhelming and forgettable. It closes the album, but I really don't know if it was a good closer because I just felt like there could have been more. There really could have been a lot more added to this album. It didn't feel like there was an end. It just didn't really give a good exit point to the whole album as a whole, and that really kind of hurt it, I think. I don't think this was a good choice to close the album out with. The production on this album is somewhat all over the place, and it really depends on the song, what kind of sounds you're going to get. The one thing I did notice about this album, though, is what it suffers from is the loudness war. Unfortunately, Most of these songs are really heavily compressed, the drums are really buried far in the mix, and you don't really get a lot of room for these instruments to breathe. This album to me felt like it was all over the place, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was recorded over a long period of time. It kind of didn't really feel like an album. It felt like it was just a compilation of songs. It didn't have a beginning, middle, and end like a lot of albums should. It just kind of felt like a whole bunch of songs slapped together. There were a few good songs on here, but mostly underwhelming. It just kind of felt like there was a disconnect, and the band was sort of uninterested in the music that they're making. So for that reason, I'm going to give this album a 5 out of 10. So anyway, that's what I thought about the album. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to subscribe so you know when I post new videos. You can check us out on Twitter and Facebook. You can check us out on Patreon. Get some cool perks there. You can help us out. We really appreciate it. Check out some other videos on the right here. And don't forget to check out the website, polyphonicpress.net. All those links are in the description. And that's about it. I'm Jeremy Boyd. Take it easy.